The Greek philosopher Aristotle, born in 384 BC, lived for 62 years and never rode a motorbike. Probably. But he once said, roughly translated, that the greatest pleasure for man is relief from pain. Now, I doubt he was talking about shoulder pain from riding a Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650, but right now I really feel what he meant. The pain's really taken the pleasure from riding for me. I'd hoped that by now, part 3 of this series, I'd have something definite and more positive to share. And while there has been some progress, I'm still a long way from being wherever there is yet. But I didn't want to leave you hanging. So if you want to hear how my shoulder treatment is going, an update on mods to the Super Meteor, what bikes I've test ridden to see if that alleviates the pain, and how all of this has changed my perspective on choosing bikes, then stick around with me, musician on a motorbike. Or not on a motorbike, as is the case right now. So I had my shoulder treatment session. It was excruciating. But oddly enough, I came away feeling like something good had happened, which I suppose is how most ancient torture devices worked too. Now, to simplify things, I've got 3 main issues going on. 1, there's a rotator cuff tear on my right shoulder, which has been diagnosed through an MRI. I've also been referred to a consultant for that. 2, there's ongoing tension and muscles and knots across my back, which is what I'm currently having treatment for. And now 3, there's this lovely new burning sensation that kicks in about 5 miles into any ride. Now, it's tempting to link all of these together and lump them as one problem, and that's the cause. But here's why I'm cautious. You see, 2 of these problems aren't new. The rotator cuff issue has been around for a couple of years, actually probably even more now, and it's only recently that I've sought help and the NHS has now started to look into it. The muscle tension and knots, old news, been on and off for years, occupational hazard of just being human, I guess. The burning across the top of the shoulders though while riding a bike, that only started when I got the Super Meteor 650. Never had it on the Meteor 350, nor on any other bike I've ridden or had before, just this one. But this week, something odd happened. An old realization dawned on me. I was sat at the piano, something I've been doing since I was a kid, and a very similar pain kicked in. Not quite the same, but a similar pain at the top of the back of the shoulders. Now, I've had occasional discomfort of the keys many times over the years, but I just write it off as one of life's just irritations, to the point that I just forget it, almost the moment I take a break from the piano. But what's curious is that I don't get the pain when I'm sat at a desk, a normal writing desk, just at the piano, and now on the Super Meteor 650. So it did get me thinking, maybe it is my posture. When I sit at the Super Meteor 650 and at the piano, neither of which maybe I can do anything about. Or maybe it's just age, bad habits, and a body that's finally decided to file a formal complaint. Either way, that was the moment I stopped thinking and started looking at alternatives. Now, as you know, I made a few changes to my Super Meteor 650. The bar risers turned out they actually do stretch cables. I only found this out much later. The clutch cable is the one that gets stretched, and it does get close to the exhaust and it can melt the black plastic. So please, as a word of caution, if anyone has fitted bar risers, please just check that. It might not happen to everyone. It certainly has happened to me, and I know it's happened to others. So since then I've taken the bar risers off because I need to protect the cable, possibly even replace it. And actually with them off, slightly less accommodating, but not enough for me to say it's really worth putting them on. The 25mm bar rise I get, I can adjust when I'm in my sitting position, so I've taken them off and I'll probably leave them off now. So I've been trying different riding positions with different bikes to see if that's helped. Let me talk you through some of that now. Now, you may remember in my last video I mentioned riding the shotgun. Unfortunately, it was just as bad. I was leaning on the shoulder again and the pain came on fast. What surprised me was that I'd done a much longer test ride in the shotgun before and it hadn't been an issue then. But this time, just a few miles in, I decided the pain was too much. I just turned the shotgun around and I just went straight back to the dealer. Next up, you might remember, was the Himalayan 450. Wasn't perfect, but it was better. I managed an hour, then I pushed on for 2 hours. Promising, right? Well, on another day, I tried the Himalayan again, and that warm, fuzzy feeling was just gone. Just as painful as the others. So, not much hope. I'm now beginning to think that maybe the riding on the Super Meteor 650 has perhaps created the problem that I can't really shake off. So, while I was at the dealer, they had an Interceptor in, and I've sat on them before, and I sat on it, and it just felt a little more upright. It felt good. I was quite relaxed. I thought it was very promising. So I booked a test ride, but I decided to leave it a couple of days. I wanted to give my back time to heal from the Super Meteor 650, if that is the cause of the problem, and just take a bit of time out. I even drove to the test ride in my car, so that there was no sense of starting the day in agony as a result of riding the Super Meteor 650. I didn't want to blame that bike. So, this particular Interceptor that I drive was gorgeous. It was a black grey, and it is loaded with loads of extras. It was spec'd up to about £7,500 worth. I did the configuration online. Amazing. And it only had 500 miles on the clock. It was a year old, and with all that, it was just, the cost of change was very low indeed. So I was buzzing. Could this be the answer? The first 5 miles was glorious. I really felt good on the Interceptor, and it's such a stunning bike, really lovely bike. Certainly less pain than the Super Meteor 650, so I was hopeful. But by mile 10, mile 15, the pain was back, and this time it just wouldn't budge, no matter what I did. So by now I'm 4 bikes in. We've got the Super Meteor 650, the shotgun, the Himalayan, and of course the Interceptor. And I am at this stage now just about ready to give up. Clearly the issue's in my shoulders, and it seems that no matter what I ride, the pain keeps coming back. So I started to think, maybe I just need to take a break from riding. Maybe more treatment, maybe more time. But then something changed my mind, and curiously, I was to find myself being proved wrong in my assumptions that no bike could change the pain in my back. You see, there was one more bike I hadn't tried. I'd actually deferred it because I knew the price to change would be high, and honestly I was tired of getting my hopes up, only to have them shot down by shoulder pain. Still, I gave it a go. Right away, this mystery bike felt different. The handlebars were closer and lower than even the Himalayan, and the seating position was upright and relaxed, so I set off. 5 miles in, no pain, but we've been here before, so I didn't celebrate just yet. 10 miles in, still fine. 15 miles in, still no pain. Now, I'll be honest, I was getting excited, but I held off popping the champagne just yet. The posture of this bike suited me. The bike was beautiful, and I started to wonder, have I finally found the one? So what was I riding, you will probably be asking. Can you guess? Well, it was the stunning new classic 650. You see, just when I'd all but given up, I discovered I might have a classic shaped body, or as I prefer to call it, vintage. But we're not quite at the end of the story yet. You see, the cost to change is significant to my wallet, and I'm still undergoing treatment. So there's a chance my shoulders could get sorted, though I must be honest, I'm a little doubtful. And the dealer wants me to be sure, so what we've discussed is, and they've suggested this, that I should go out on a much longer ride. I have a long route planned, one that I've done many times, and I almost know where the pain and where the locations are for the pain that I get on the Super Meteor 650. So for now, I've decided to take a proper break from riding, because if every ride is ending in pain, well, that's not what motorcycling is meant to be. I so love this Super Meteor 650. Selling it is not a decision I take lightly. And it's not the bike's fault. Absolutely it isn't, because as you've now found out, the other bikes I'm trying, I'm getting similar pain. It could have been brought on by the Super Meteor, I don't know. But right now, I think it's best I don't ride at all. I have been trying lots this week to try and figure stuff out, but I just seem to be getting in more and more pain. I know that pain is relative, and we all think we understand what pain is in different people, but I can't express this is not just a sort of temporal uncomfortableness which we all get with things in life. It kind of sticks around for several hours after I've ridden, and sometimes the next day, and I just don't want that. So I think, in all fairness, you might not be hearing from me, you might not be seeing me on the roads, and you might not be hearing from me on YouTube videos, because I just need to take a break and just try and see what's going on here. I think also I've really said all I can on the subject. So unless something major changes and happens in the next week, such as my shoulders suddenly remarkably recover, or I change the bike out, though that's unlikely this soon, I don't know. But unless I have something really definite to share, you won't be hearing much from me. And it might be nice to just take a break from riding for a bit, because everything's uncertain, certainly with this pain. So I'm going to continue with the treatment. I will at some point next week, later in the week, as late as possible, go for a long test ride on the classic 650. Who knows? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But thanks again for all your comments, contributions and shared experiences on bike riding related pain. They mean so much, both emotionally and practically. So a huge, huge gratitude to each of you. We're all built differently, so I'm not sure if my journey really is helping anyone, but if nothing else, it's reminded me that when it comes to bikes, it's not just about features and functions, it's about fit and shape, and apparently how well your joints are holding up. It turns out the body I've got now isn't quite the one I had when I first started riding back in the 70s. This one's got more opinions. Anyway, onwards and upwards, or at least upright and pain-free if possible. Take care, ride safe, and I'll catch up with you at some time over the next few weeks. Bye for now.